Welcome back to the Deep Dive. So today we're looking at something that, you see it on a sports sticker, and it looks pretty standard.
Yeah, just another transaction.
Right, a veteran defensive tackle moving teams. But this one, the Kansas City Chiefs bringing back Mike Pennel. Well, the story behind it feels like a perfect little window into how some organizations think.
Exactly. It seems like it's just about filling a roster spot after an injury, basic stuff. But when you dig into the sources, the reactions, especially from inside the team, they're really telling this was clearly more than just needing another body on the line.
Yeah, it felt like it was about, I don't know, restoring something. Something about the team's vibe, maybe.
That's a good way to put it. Organizational heart, emotional stability, something like that.
So that's our mission for this deep dive. Trying to figure out what the real value is here. Because it's not just about, cap space or tackles. We really have to ask, for you listening, what's the actual, competitive value of things like positive energy or being a veteran presence, especially in a place like an NFL locker room where the pressure is just immense.
And particularly when one of the team leaders, a star player, flat out says those things are underrated, that really makes you stop and think.
Totally. And you mentioned star players. That quote from Chris Jones, wow.
Yeah, that one quote sort of sets the whole stage, doesn't it? When they asked him what the team missed after Pennel left before.
He didn't list stats. He didn't talk about run stopping.
Just one word?
Everything.
Everything. I mean, that's heavy. It suggests this move is way more strategic on a cultural level than just plugging a hole.
Absolutely. It's not just logistics.
Okay, so let's start with the basics, though. The facts on the ground. There was a real immediate need. Really.
Oh, for sure. You can't ignore the practical side. The main trigger was losing the rookie, Omar Norman-Lott.
Right, the defensive tackle. Yeah, tough break for him. Injured in that Raiders game, the 31-out win, out for the season.
So boom, instant gap in the rotation. They needed someone reliable and quickly.
Exactly. You need someone who can step in, especially on the defensive line rotation.
And just like that, Mike Pennel becomes available. The Bengals let him go earlier that week.
Yeah, the timing worked out perfectly for the Chiefs. Need meets opportunity.
But it wasn't just convenient timing, was it? The Chiefs had some tough games coming up.
That's a critical point. The sources mentioned they were gearing up for, quote, another physical matchup and heading into a really key part of their midseason schedule.
So you can't really afford to bring in someone totally new. Someone who needs weeks to get up to speed on the playbook, the calls, everything.
No way. You need someone dependable, someone who can, basically walk into practice the next day and contribute. Not necessarily start, but be ready.
Okay, that makes sense from a tactical standpoint. But let's push back a bit, like we always do.
Yeah.
If Pennelly's truly everything to the Chiefs locker room, as Jones put it, why did Cincinnati just cut him? Doesn't that suggest maybe they didn't see that same value? Or maybe it wasn't translating there?
That's a fair question, and I think that leads us right into the next piece. The cultural fit, specifically in Kansas City.
Okay. The context matters.
Hugely. For the Chiefs, he's not just some guy off the street. He's a known quantity. Their defensive coordinator, Steve Spagnuolo, he actually used the word seamless for the transition.
Seamless. That's a big word in season. It implies zero ramp-up time, almost.
Pretty much. And Spags explained why. He said, the good thing about Mike is he was here before this season.
Right. He knows the system.
Exactly. Knows the coaches, the terminology, maybe even just where the coffee machine is, Spagnuolo said it makes it probably an easier transition for him than going someplace else.
So less friction, less teaching time needed.
But it's even deeper than just knowing the X's and O's, isn't it? His history there.
Oh, yeah. He was part of those Super Bowl runs.
2 of them. So when he walks back in that building, he's not just familiar, he's associated with winning at the highest level. He knows the standard, especially when things get tough later in the season.
Okay, so the coaches get depth, they get someone who fits the scheme, and someone who knows the championship culture. Yeah. Spagnuolo kind of summed it up.
Right.
Called him a fun guy to have around and a good football player.
Yeah, practical and personable.
Yeah.
Checks a lot of boxes for the coaching staff.
And this is where it gets really interesting. The players weren't just talking about him being a good football player.
Not at all. They weren't focused on the seamless transition part. For them, it sounded much more personal, like getting a key piece of their group dynamic back.
Right. This is where we dive into that intangible stuff. The value that Chris Jones especially was hammering home. That Pennel's worth goes far beyond the stat sheet.
And Jones's language was really striking. He called Pennell one of my brothers and a heck of a locker room guy. I mean, that's strong praise in that environment. He even said something about hoping life would come full circle to get Pennell back. It's not just about needing a backup tackle.
No, that sounds like genuine connection. Wanting that specific person, that personality, back in the room.
It's organizational desire, but seemingly driven by the players' relationships.
So let's really focus on that. What did Jones say Pennell actually brings? What is this intangible value that made them want him back so badly, even if he's not, an every down star?
Okay, Jones basically broke it down into two things. First, the obvious one, veteran presence, experience. Been there, done that.
Makes sense, especially for playoff pushes.
But the second thing, and this is really the core of it for our deep dive today, was, quote, just bringing positive energy.
Positive energy, okay? And then Jones hits us with that critical line. I think that's something that goes underrated in a football locker room.
Underrated. Now, why? Why would positive energy be underrated in such a high-stakes place? Is it just because you can't, measure it easily? No stat for positive vibes.
Yeah, probably part of it. Hard to put on a spreadsheet.
True, but I think it's more than that. It's underrated maybe because its real value only shows up under stress. When everything's easy, like that 31-euro win, maybe positive energy doesn't feel essential.
But when things get tough.
Exactly. When you hit a losing streak or you're dealing with injuries or it's a long road trip late in the year, that's when that positive, steadying influence becomes incredibly valuable.
Okay, but wait. Let's challenge that. How does positive energy, just being a good guy, actually help win games? Does it really move the needle on the scoreboard? Or is it just nice to have feel-good stuff?
No, I think there's a real mechanism there. Think about the end of a long season. It's a grind, mentally and physically. Fatigue sets in.
Sure. Execution can slip. Mistakes happen.
Right. Mental errors creep in. Dumb penalties. Missed assignments because focus wavers. That's where a guy like Pennell, someone with experience and that positive outlook, acts like a buffer.
A buffer against fatigue. Or frustration.
Both, probably. He can help keep the younger guys steady. Remind the veterans who might be getting ground down, hey, stick to the process, stay focused. He absorbs some of that negative drift that can happen.
So he's not just depth for the rotation, he's depth for the team's mental state, fatigue mitigation, like you said.
Yeah, precisely. Emotional consistency. He's maybe the guy in the huddle who keeps things calm when the pressure's on or keeps spirits up on the sideline after a bad play.
And that consistency, that reduction in mental errors, maybe preventing one costly penalty or ensuring one key assignment is handled correctly on third down, that does translate to the scoreboard.
Absolutely. It directly impacts execution in critical moments, fewer self-inflicted wounds, better situational football. That's a tangible competitive advantage, even if the source positive energy feels intangible.
Okay, that really shifts the perspective. It's not just about having enough bodies. It's about managing the team's morale and focus strategically. If Pennell prevents even a couple of mental mistakes over the next few crucial games.
That could easily be the difference in a close game. And that's the aha moment here, I think. Chemistry, morale, positive energy, whatever you call it, is a competitive edge. It's not just fluff.
So Jones knows his defense has talent, but he also seems to know they need this specific blend of experience and attitude to navigate this tough stretch of the season.
Right. To channel that talent effectively, as the sources put it. Pennell is like leadership reinforcement, arriving just when the mental gas tank might be running low for some guys.
So he's less about stats, more about being institutional memory, an emotional anchor.
I think that's a great way to describe it. He keeps the focus, keeps things relatively light maybe, but also reminds everyone of the standard required to win when it matters most, because he's actually done it with them.
Yeah, when you think about teams trying to make deep playoff runs year after year, that mental grind must be immense.
Relentless. So adding a guy who helps with that, not just plugging a hole physically, but bolstering the mental and emotional side of the locker room, that's smart roster building. It's a hedge against burnout, against letting the pressure crack the team's cohesion.
It makes total sense now why Jones was so emphatic. He wasn't just happy to get a backup tackle, he wanted his guy back, the guy who helps keep the whole machine running smoothly under pressure.
See, exactly.
So bringing it all together,
Yeah.
the story of Mike Pennell's return, it really feels like more than just a footnote transaction. It's almost a case study.
Yeah, a case study in how high-performing organizations, especially late in the season, have to value culture, locker room dynamics, emotional leadership, maybe even as much as pure physical talent sometimes.
Or perhaps even more when the margins get incredibly thin in January.
Right. Which leads to a really interesting final thought for you, the listener, to take away. It goes beyond football, really.
Yeah.
If a team like the Chiefs, operating at the highest level of competition, deliberately brings someone back, specifically citing positive energy and veteran presence as crucial, underrated assets for stability under pressure, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What parts of your own work life, your own teams or organizations might benefit from deliberately focusing more on those non-statistical qualities? Veteran leadership, morale, just that positive, consistent presence.
Yeah. Where could that underrated value make the biggest difference for you?
Exactly. It's a reminder that sometimes the most important thing you contribute isn't on the spreadsheet. It's just who you are, how you show up, and the stability you bring to the people around you when things get tough.